Hey guys, this is Justin. Hello and welcome to another video. It was an action-packed night for me. We had the Stanley Cup Finals going on one TV, then during intermission, I was getting caught up with episode 4 of The Acolyte. So, how was it? Was it as good as the NHL Cup Finals? No, but it was better than episode 3 at the very least. So, episode 4 was titled Day. The Acolyte has seemingly moved away from the twin titling, and undoubtedly next episode will be Night. I'll admit, I have mixed feelings. As I said, I thought this episode was a definite improvement over episode 3, and honestly, that was largely because it was back within sort of the main dramatic timeline. I thought going back and having a full flashback episode really derailed any momentum the show had going, especially where there are still so many questions left unanswered. Obviously, characters like Saul were present in the flashback, but the show is stronger when he's a central focus rather than someone making a brief appearance. On the other hand, I thought that the acting of May and Osha, Amanda Stenberg generally, was really weak. Like, she had a few just really bafflingly bad line reads that just left me wondering why they didn't try again, especially when they were still on Coruscant and trying to get the mission sorted. I appreciate her relationship with Saul, much of which has been formed off screen from their time training together, but her being disappointed when she's not immediately re-accepted back into the ranks of the Jedi or re-invited into the ranks of the Jedi, that was just weird. Overall, though, I thought all the other acting was generally pretty good, and it was nice to see, especially on Coruscant, a variety of other Jedi species. We saw that weird little cat alien thing that was in Solo and in the Bad Batch, so that was pretty fun. The species, by the way, is called a Tarlafar. And the one I'm referring to from the Bad Batch was Baron, who was kidnapped, brought to Mount Tantus. I wonder whether he got off Pabu and back with his parents, but whatever. One of the big discussion points came about 6 minutes into the episode during a meeting of Jedi Masters where we meet, shocker, Ki-Adi-Mundi. People were saying, oh, how is he alive canonically? His birth was established, or Cereans have a set age. And I mean, in Star Wars canon, no they don't. We don't know how long Cereans can live. They're weird little guys, big ass foreheads, secondary organs. Maybe they have lots of vitality, I guess. For those wondering, the Acolyte takes place 132 years before the Battle of Yavin. It's over 115 years before Revenge of the Sith. So he's an old dude, especially because he seems to be fairly old even at this point. I do like Vernestra. She's got a weird position within the Jedi Council where clearly she's a rule follower, but she doesn't want to escalate the current issue to the High Council because she recognizes that things will get political. I don't know if I fully trust her. I mean, obviously, she's established as a trustworthy character in the High Republic novels, but she's definitely got a stick up her butt. And I guess that's an interesting contrast to Saul, who's very much a Qui-Gon Jinn, do what's best type of character. Anyway, the main storyline in this pretty short episode from both the Jedi and the Acolyte's perspective is the hunt for Kelnaka. Thought the visuals on this planet were generally pretty good. It was nice that they were forced by their environment to actually light the show. There are so many times where Disney Plus shows, but especially the Acolyte and Kenobi, they are just so damn dark, so it was nice that they were out getting sunlight, although things got a little murky later on, literally and figuratively. Again, dialogue and sort of the middling point of the episode continued to be an issue for me, especially with Amanda Stenberg's characters. I thought the Acolyte's sort of change was maybe a bit fast, and I think this is one of the weaknesses of moving back to the past for episode 3. We see that the Acolyte is, pretty involved in her work. She seems to believe in the cause against the Jedi. In this episode, that changes completely, and she wants to surrender herself to Kelnaka. That itself is not a bad plot idea. Her being forced down this dark path by a power greater than her own, and I mean that literally, is interesting, and it's very common in Star Wars. Arguably, you see the same thing with Anakin and his fall to the dark side, or Jason in Star Wars Legends. There's always someone forcing them to some degree, but I really think this is the point where we could have benefited from more time with the character. Conversely, as this is happening, Osha is seemingly regaining some of her Force abilities. I'm not quite sure whether that's because of her time spent with the Jedi, because she's about to face kind of her great fear, or because she's in physical proximity to her sister, but it's an interesting plot thread. The other big plot thread obviously has to do with how this episode ended, where our Jedi are facing off against this supposed Sith apprentice, as of yet unnamed. I say apprentice, I guess that's just my theory. It could be the Sith Master, who knows? I listened to the audio descriptions, and the character is simply referred to as the Shape, or as the Stranger. He's said to have a crenellated jaw guard in the form of an open maw, which pretty cool description, also accurate. But he is powerful. It's unclear to me whether him being able to just push all these Jedi away is simply because they're underestimating him and not expecting to see such a powerful Force user, or because he really is on that high level, having been the newest product of the Rule of Two operating in the shadows. One interesting aspect that we do get during the meeting of the Jedi is that May's training is identified as being the product of one who is Force sensitive, likely a Jedi. There's the potential of it being something worse, but I think even the Order at this point is in denial of the true evil still active in the galaxy. Now, who is this individual? Well, I think there are two main options. The first being Kamir, and this is what I do believe. In fact, I put $100 down against my friend Ilkin from the YouTube channel Kings and Generals that it was Kamir. And it's so obvious that I think the show is trying to lead us down the path of thinking we're being misled when it's actually playing it straight. I mean, Kamir is on the planet. He knows she's turning back and isn't going to fulfill her plan to kill Kelnaka. We saw that previously he completely evaded her attacks, far beyond the ability of some simple helper. He could just be an acolyte, but even based on what the Sith looked like at the end, I think Kamir is him. The other option is that it's the birth mother, like the individual who carried May and Osha. We saw her in episode 3. Her name is Coral. Allegedly, Coral's body is not there among the others, but hey, I don't really know. I don't know. My thoughts on this episode are basically as they have been. The Acolyte is currently being let down by elements of its direction. I think moving to a flashback for episode 3 was a mistake. I don't like a lot of the direction, how the scenes are laid out, the choreography, even what takes they choose to use, especially for May and Osha. But generally, I do think the central mystery is compelling enough. And in that sense, it's definitely an improvement on episode 3. That, however, is just my opinion. I'm sure this will be the friendliest and nicest YouTube comment section on the entire website. Do not disappoint me, guys. But until next time, that's all I've got. I'll see you soon. May the Force be with you. Bye-bye.